Okay.
Great.
Okay.
That's all there is. I will leave you to it.
Thanks, Sue.
Oh, and Charlie, if you're curious, if you sit on this side of me, whoops, here's your count.
Oh, okay.
If you're interested.
Yeah.
No one's on just yet.
Mm-hmm.
Right there, that little eyeball
Yeah.
with a number next to it.
Charlie, are you comfortable if I take my mask off?
Absolutely.
Okay. I just don't want to.
Welcome.
Hey, Greg.
Hey.
I made it.
Yes.
Yeah, very good. We are live, so anything you say will be permanently recorded. No pressure.
Handouts are right over there if you want any. You're welcome. Thanks to Sue. Thank you, Sue. Oh, yeah. I have it on my phone. It says live. Gifts of Imperfection. It works.
That reminds me. There's two places you can check here. Facebook being the other one, because people are going to.
Oh, that's all on me, are you?
No.
That's in the back.
Yeah. I'm not going to call it. But definitely get your phone ready because I have a lot of questions for like everybody that joins us online. Yeah. And Charlie's going to help me. He's the lucky guy that's going to help me.
It'd be just as easy to have, can I enlist you for help? But just as gonna be 1 minute. Can you get the church page up? Right there. Good job. And then swipe, because people will be commenting, I'm guessing, so swipe down here, yeah. So, yeah, so you can kind of keep an eye on. Yeah. Like, you're seeing them now, so you can cross out of that. And if there's something that comes up like a question or something, feel free to add that to the conversation.
You want me to?
Yeah,
To,
moderate.
referee that?
If you don't mind, that'd be awesome. You're welcome to like reset. Okay.
It's beautiful out.
Not gonna work. We're just gonna have to use right there. I'll get this for next week.
So you're intercepting questions on Facebook, and I'm doing it here via the
Email.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yes, just, 2 minutes. we'll get
Okay.
started.
All right. It's so quiet.
Yes.
You know, I'm so used to all the kiddos, right? All the kids and all the noise. It's interesting.
Yeah. Production's a whole different thing.
Yeah, production. It's so right.
It's a whole different thing.
It's so right. Okay. o'clock, right?
Yep.
Okay. Hi. Good morning. There are some handouts right over here. Are you guys comfortable if I have my mask off? Are you sure? Okay, I can put it back on. I have Harry Potter. Who doesn't love Harry Potter? You know, crowd please. Yeah. There's plenty if you want any. Okay. All right. All right. Good morning, everyone. How is everyone doing this morning? Good, 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 good. So I have some folks here in the classroom, and then I have some folks online. So welcome, everybody, to the Gifts of Imperfection discussion. Either whether it's virtually or here in the room, it's a beautiful Sunday morning, and looking forward to having this discussion with everybody. Is everyone familiar with the Gifts of Imperfection? If you're not, that's okay. I'm going to give you a 30 minutes review of the book, and hopefully that will inspire you to maybe dig a little bit deeper with Gifts of Imperfection. I have Charlie helping me with questions, Greg helping me with questions, so this is really meant to be very interactive online, or if you're here in the classroom, if you're willing to share. When you see this little 3-dot image on the slide, that means that I'm definitely looking for feedback from the group, online, or here in the classroom. So definitely feel free to jump in. The Gifts of Imperfection is an extremely popular book. It's in its 10th anniversary. There's millions of copies of this book sold. And I think what's been such a landmark about the book is it's not just something that you're going to see as like a self-help book for individuals. Organizations such as churches, companies that you see on your phone today, probably some of their little icons, they're using the themes of this book to help grow and develop their people in their organization. So it's really a landmark book based on a ton of qualitative research that Dr. Brené Brown has done. So this is our game plan for today. So I'm going to introduce you to Dr. Brené Brown. In case you're quite not sure who she is, I will give you a brief introduction. I'm going to review the top 10 guideposts, which the book is kind of structured around. And we're going to dive in to the first ones regarding perfectionism and comparison, what people think of us. I'm going to go into the tools of wholehearted living, which is in the middle of the presentation, so that when we get to guideposts 7 and 8, you can start applying those tools and with your interactivity online. And then I'm going to have some resources and a closing prayer. If you're here in the classroom, I have handouts over here. If you're online, the e-news that was sent out on October 15th has the links to the handouts for the class. So let's dive in. All right, so Dr. Brené Brown, how many of you recognize any of these books on the screen? Charlie does. You do. Anybody online, write in Facebook or email to Charlie or Greg which ones that you've read and you've enjoyed. Dr. Brené Brown, I'm a huge fan of hers. She is a researcher at the University of Houston, and she also teaches management at the University of Texas, Austin. She has spent 2 decades doing research, qualitative research, collecting thousands of pieces of data on courage, leadership, shame, vulnerability, all of these things. And what has made her work so meaningful is that a lot of these principles, as I've said, are being applied in our workplaces, in our organizations, and at home. So let's dive in a little bit more. So the 10 guideposts of wholehearted living. How many of you have watched A Call to Courage on Netflix? Dr. Brené Brown on there. Has anyone listened to her podcast, Unlocking Us, her podcast? How about her TED Talk, The Power of Vulnerability? Okay, yes. So if any of you are kind of looking to do a deeper dive in this kind of 30-minute introduction to the Gifts of Imperfection, The Call to Courage is a 90-minute presentation that Dr. Brené Brown did on Netflix that kind of talks about some of these themes, as well as her podcast, Unlocking Us. And this is really the crux of the matter, is we need to let go of what people think. We need to let go of perfectionism, letting go of feeling powerless, need for certainty, letting go of that, letting go of what people think of us, letting go of an exhaustion or status symbol of productivity as self-worth, letting go of self-doubt, and letting go of being cool and always in control. So how many of you can relate to one of these 10 I probably like all 10, to be honest with you. If you're sitting at home just making a mental note, there's the chat button at the bottom, right there in the corner. If any of these like resonate with you, definitely let us know. I certainly probably am all of them. But if you have this handout in front of you, this is just telling you what we want to let go of, and then on the right-hand side, what we want to cultivate. And what we want to cultivate is being authentic. We want to cultivate self-compassion, resiliency, gratitude, faith, creativity, rest, being calm, finding meaningful work. These are the things we want to cultivate while we let go of these things. And that's really what the Gifts of Imperfection is about, and it kind of walks you through. So let me go to the next slide here. Okay, so how many of you have these icons in front of you? You may even have them open on your right now. I know I do. I have Facebook Live open right now on my phone. But how many of you have these and are on them like multiple times a day? Oh my gosh, so am I. I have this woman with the selfie stick because that was me probably 5 years ago. I was carrying around my selfie stick, taking pictures, and making sure they were the absolute perfect picture before I would post it to some of these social media sites. I think it also speaks to how many times that we are looking at these images that are being fed to us and thinking, wow, she has really perfect shiny hair. How did she get that? I don't have perfect shiny hair. How did they prep all that food in one day? I certainly don't do that. So there's these constant images that we're seeing and being fed to us, and we're always trying to understand how maybe I don't measure up to that or I'm not that perfect. Does anybody have this same feeling, or am I alone up here? Yeah, it's these constant images that are being fed to us. And you know, it's challenging to see all of these images that are constantly fed to us. So let me just go over here. I'm going to, for me with some of these is, you'll look at Monday morning, you'll see pictures of a weekend, and you'll look and be like, that wasn't my weekend. I wasn't out picking pumpkins and carving them, or picking apples and creating apple cider. So there's these images that are constantly in front of us, and we interpret them all in a little bit different ways. So here's the next one. I love this slide. You know, we're constantly looking at images, I think, and while people put them out to be like, hey, this is what I did this weekend, we're kind of interpreting them as maybe we're not good enough. And I love this image because I think we all try to present what is on the left-hand side of the screen, which is cool, calm, and collected, right? So here's a little boy in his puff jacket and his sunshades with his mom. Everything's great. We're out in the sunshine. But really what's happening behind the scenes for a lot of us is on the right-hand side, is we're just struggling to get it together, right? We're just struggling to make sure the kids have their lunch money. They got all their stuff for their sports after school. Nowadays, it's that they can connect, right, to school and all their Zoom meetings that they have to attend to go to school. You know, where's the charger? I mean, it's not that perfect. But I think on this image on the left is, I think, what we think we're supposed to present out into the world. Does this resonate? It definitely resonates for me. All right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to have us do, and I mentioned in the beginning, is I want us to be, you know, interactive, and I want us to practice some awareness. So what is on your never good enough list? So take a mental note. If you have a tablet, write it down, a pen and paper. What is on your never good enough list? I can tell you what's on mine. Never good enough at probably cooking or baking or cleaning. I need help a lot with that. Never good enough at probably balancing a checkbook. Don't really do that too often, and not good at that. So that would be on my list. What is on some of your lists? Has anybody been thinking about this? I'll give you, let's say, 60 more seconds. Go to my thing. So I'll tell you a funny story while you're writing up your list, and that is, you know, I used to go out shopping with my mom and on Saturdays, and we used to collect all the receipts of everything that we would go shopping for. And then we would come home and hand them over to my dad. And I just thought he filed them away, you know. I didn't realize he was actually balancing a checkbook. I didn't realize that was happening. And so I definitely have room for improvement in that way and have definitely learned my lesson. So if you're watching Dad, I've learned what I'm supposed to do with those receipts now that when I get them. I'm actually supposed to balance my checkbook. Have we seen anything come through on any of the chats in the room? Anything? Okay. So I think the next question is, where did you get those messages from? So I just want you to think through, where did you get those messages from? Did you get those messages from something that you're seeing on social media? Did you get those messages from, family members? Do a reality check. Are the items on this list true, or are these part of some manufactured image that's being fed to you? And so that's the whole idea, is kind of to challenge these beliefs that we think that we have about ourselves. We need to practice that awareness and say, is that true, or is that something that I saw that I'm comparing to a friend, that I have that posted something on social media? And finally ask yourself, is that really true about me? Is that really true about me? So those are questions to ask yourself. All right. So, tools for wholehearted living. So what Dr. Brené Brown says, these are the tools for wholehearted living. And I intentionally put this into the middle of the presentation so that when we get through some of the other guideposts, we can kind of apply these or start thinking about them. So the tools for wholehearted living look like this. One is ordinary courage. It's speaking openly about who we are, about what we're feeling, and about our experiences, good and bad. Ordinary courage is about putting your vulnerability on the line. So what that might look like is your boss asks you to maybe do a presentation in front of, your senior team or your executive leadership. I've certainly been in that position. And I think most of us who are pleasers or who want to do a good job are like, yeah, sure, no problem. I'll put that presentation together. I can do it, no problem. And I think what's really happening is you have like the butterflies in the stomach and you're like, I don't know if I can really do this. And the courage part is doing something that looks like this. Hey boss, I really want to do that presentation, but let me tell you, I'm a little nervous and I think I need your support in this. Can you help me out? That's what ordinary courage looks like. Or for some of you that are asked to, the infamous, hey, can you bake cookies, 5 dozen cookies for our field trip for the kids? You want to say, yes, I really want to, because you really do deep down. But the truth is you don't have time. Your schedule is completely maxed out. And so ordinary courage would look something like this. Hey, I'd love to bake cookies, but I just don't have time. I have a lot on my list, and put me on the list in the future, but happy to support in the future, just can't do it right now. So ordinary courage is kind of, instead of saying, yes, I'll do it, and saying yes to everything, you're taking that step to say, hey, that I need some support, I need some help. I'm not exactly there yet. So that's what ordinary courage looks like. And if you get Brené's book and her other books, she talks a lot about courage, especially in leadership, courage and leadership, and how that vulnerability can really help build connection, which we're going to talk about in a second. The second tool is compassion, and this is really acceptance. So the better that we're accepting of ourselves and the more that compassionate we can become, this is a key to wholehearted living. So when I think of compassion, I think of self-compassion. So we often speak to ourselves the way that we don't speak to others. So a lot of times when I make a mistake or I overstep or something like that, I speak to myself in very harsh terms because I'm somebody that is very much a goal setter, like to achieve goals. And when I screw up, frankly, I don't feel so good. And I don't talk to myself so well. I'm like, oh, that was so stupid. I can't believe I did that. But the truth is I would never talk to my sister like that. I would never talk to my parents like that. I would never talk to my loved ones like that. So I think self-compassion is key in really learning to accept yourself and really starting on the path of wholehearted living. The third is connection. And I can't speak the most about this, is the energy that exists between people when they feel seen, heard, and valued, when they can give and receive without judgment. And that really builds and gains strengths with relationships. So connection looks something like this. Listening, being empathetic, You know, it might look like somebody you don't know real well at church maybe comes up to you and says, hey, I lost my job this past week. What do? You connect. You say, I'm really sorry to hear that. I experienced that before too. I lost my job 10 years ago, and I know what that feels like. Connection is being empathetic. It's not saying, here's some instructions on what to do. Like, you can go to these job websites, and you can apply here, and blah, blah, blah. It's connecting with that person on where they're at and listening to them without any judgment. And I think that can be hard for a lot of us, including myself, because I like to try to help people. So my first thing when somebody tells me a problem is I immediately try to solve the problem for them. How many of you do that? I immediately, and the icons at the bottom, if you feel that way too, type in your responses. I immediately try to problem solve. And I do that a lot with my team at work, is they will tell me a problem, and I'm like, we can do this, we can do that, blah, blah, blah. And really what I need to do is listen, say I understand, and help support them work through the issue. So connection is extremely important, and especially important in organizations and leadership positions. You really want to value this tool. So courage, compassion, and connection are the themes to wholehearted living. And with the examples I gave you, you can see why they're so critical. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, and I'm going to read a statement by Dr. Brené Brown. That's pretty famous, so some of you may have heard it. I'm going to walk through it, and it says, wholehearted living is about engaging in our lives from a place of worthiness. It means cultivating the courage, compassion, and connection to wake up in the morning and think, no matter what gets done and how much is left undone, I am enough. It is going to bed at night thinking, yes, I am imperfect and vulnerable and sometimes afraid, but that does not change the truth that I am also brave and worthy of love and belonging. So I love this statement. I keep this statement around in my house, on my phone, because I think it's just a really good reminder of what we want to do every day. All right. So now that I kind of went through the tools of wholehearted living, kind of looked at some of the guideposts, we're going to deep dive into some of the other guideposts, and definitely looking for any comments or thoughts that everybody has on these next ones. So the guidepost is letting go of exhaustion as a status symbol and productivity as self-worth. Oh my gosh, this is my number one issue. When I get to work, everybody knows I'm Jess because I've been there for 18 years. My name tag is, hi, I'm so busy. That's what I say to everybody. Hi, I'm so busy. Hi, I'm so busy. How many of you have that same name tag when you walk in? That's my name tag. Yeah. That is what, hi, I'm so busy. You know, they know my name, no need for introduction. I'm busy. Permanently should just put that on my lapel to wear around. Constantly have a to-do list, things that I'm constantly obsessing about checking off and checking in. And then that's me at work. I put this lady, she has like spider arms because she has like her lunch, she has her laptop, she has everything going, she's typing. You know, I think that's a lot of us in today's world, is there is so much going on. We have so much scheduled. That's what we look like. And that's frankly what I feel like. Like the Inspector Gadget arms, I do not have. Sometimes I wish I did, but I do not. And I'm going to read from the book. If you have the book at home or you're in the room and you have the book, I'm going to read a section of the book about this. And one of the quotes in here is just so, I think, meaningful, which is, we are a nation of exhausted and overstressed adults raising overscheduled children. How true is that? So I'm reading from page 101. So according to the Centers for Disease Control, insufficient sleep is associated with a number of chronic diseases and conditions, such as diabetes, heart disease, obesity, and depression. We're also learning that drowsy driving can be as dangerous and as preventable as driving while intoxicated, yet somehow, many of us still believe that exhaustion is a status symbol of hard work and that sleep is a luxury. The result is that we are so very tired, dangerously so. The same gremlins that tell us that we're too busy to play and waste time fooling around are the ones that are also whispering, one more hour. I can say that for work. Oh my gosh. Napping is for slackers, and push through, you can handle it. That's me as well. But the truth is, we can't handle it. We are a nation of exhausted and overstressed adults raising overscheduled children. We use our spare time to separately search for joy and meaning in our lives. We think accomplishments and acquisitions will bring joy in meeting, but that pursuit could be the very thing that's keeping us so tired and afraid of slowing down. If we want to live a wholehearted life, we have to become intentional about cultivating sleep and play, and about letting go of exhaustion as a status symbol and productivity as self-worth. So that passage is really, this book, like, guys, I tore this book apart. Like, I have so many passages, but that one I have starred because that one really speaks to me. Let me go here to the question. So, do you struggle with this guidepost? I'd love to know from people online, in the room, do you guys struggle with this? Am I the only one that struggles with this?
I did in a job a couple years, well, like 10 years ago now, but I was fresh and young. I worked like retail after college. It was like my first office job in marketing and communications. And so I didn't have any kind of work like ingrained in me, I guess.
Right.
So to speak. So my boss kind of ingrained in me what he was like, and he was like the person who would email me at 11 o'clock at night and then be in my office at 7:30 saying, "Why didn't you answer me?" And I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
sleeping. That's why.
Right.
But then I would
Right.
work from like 7 to 5, come home, make dinner, and then log back onto my laptop. And I got burned out really fast. I was really young. So I definitely learned to put those boundaries in place.
Right.
Through a lot of therapy in the last couple of years as well.
Yeah.
But so I'm in my new job. I actually work for the state government, and I do a lot of work, but like I have boundaries. I work my 7:30 to 4, and I'm done. And I do have a work cell phone. I do have to keep, in communications. I do have to keep an eye on things and make sure something's not happening that I need to be involved in. But like, I definitely. It took a long time, but I definitely put those boundaries in place. So I remember what that was like, but I'm making choices now.
Right.
He needs to learn.
He needs to learn. Well, yeah, because you were so, I just remembered I didn't have my mic on. So here we go. See, I'm very imperfect.
Did they hear you all that time?
I think they did. I just,
Yeah,
my other mic wasn't on. I have 2 mics on. I have a lot of like wires here, so, but I'm good. No, I can relate to that because when you're trying to do well at a job, right? You want to, hey, you got this job. You want to make sure that you're doing the level of work that they expect. You kind of get influenced by the other work styles of the people around you. And I have a similar story. They've been in the business. They kind of know what needs to happen, and so you kind of follow their lead. And you end up finding out that maybe their style isn't maybe the style that you should be adopting for your own life, right, and your own work-life balance. So that's interesting that happened. And now in your new job, is the style of the leader that you follow differently, like much different?
It definitely took a while though, because I was just thinking the job in between, my leaders were the same way as my original that taught me that work style.
Okay.
But I did put up boundaries and I did draw some more lines, but I was pushing the boundary all the time.
Right.
And so in my new job, it's like one more step. So that job that I'm talking about, I left that job 11 years ago.
Wow.
And it took me that long to kind of figure out
Break free
where
from.
I need to be. But yes, my leaders and my new leaders are much more like work your hours and be done.
Right.
But of course, we work for the PennDOT communications office. So like if something happens, we have to like answer.
It's kind of critical, right?
I'm not so critical, but like I do keep
Right.
an eye on things. If they need me, they'll email. So we do have to look at our phones
Right.
at night or on the weekends. But like, it's definitely like if there's an emergency, answer it and write the press release. If not, like it's your time kind of thing. So.
Yeah. This guidepost for companies is extremely important because we are working people so hard. Now with the work from home, how many of you are working from home? Yeah, and people online probably are too. I never used to have meetings at 7 a.m. Well, now that I'm at home, 7 a.m. is a common time now for us to have meetings. 6 p.m., common time for us to end meetings, 5 to 6 p.m. And so I have found with the work from home, I'm in meetings, and I am a director in a Blue Cross Blue Shield plan. So, I do have a lot of accountability, but at the same time, I would like to have some rest and some play. And, basically I'd like to just numb with Netflix for an hour or two just to kind of take a break. But I'm in meetings, sometimes 12 to 14 meetings a day because they start at 7 and end at 6. And I don't know how I comprehend all that information other than I write down a lot of stuff. But I really feel like our leaders need to start embracing this because it's not good and you don't get a good result. If you're getting emails at 11 a.m., getting to work at 7:30, and you haven't, answered the email and they're saying that to you, your leader's saying that to you, you're not going to feel good about yourself. You're going to feel like you let that person down. And we don't want our employees feeling that way. So, and you said you struggle with this too? He does. Yeah.
But honestly though, I used to yell at him like, why are you always working late? Stop working late. I'm so tired of you working late.
Right.
And now that we're working together at home, he has an office upstairs and I am downstairs. He's literally on the phone 9 hours a day. And I'm like,
Yep.
how do you get your work done? He's like, now you understand.
That's right.
So it's kind of absurd, but yeah.
That's right. I'm with you. It sounds like we have a similar work challenge. All right, so just mentally in your mind, write down if you could have a schedule that you would like without anybody's expectations, anybody at all, what would it look like? And then just think how differently it is from what you do today. I have done this exercise on cardboard paper in my house, and I'm like, oh my gosh, my calendar looks so different. But a lot of that is me not having a job. So that's probably not going to work out. But anyway, it's a good exercise to go through because it kind of like streamlines like what you do enjoy and where you want to be. All right, so I recommend that you kind of go through that exercise. Okay. Next one, sorry. Letting go of self-doubt and supposed to. So I'm going to also read from the book on this section because this is a really good passage. And start thinking about making a list of what inspires you, what brings meaning to you, what is something that you love. So I'm going to go ahead and read this through, and then I'd love to hear some answers from either online or in the room. So again, if you have the book, page 112. We all have gifts and talents. When we cultivate those gifts and share them with the world, we create a sense of meaning and purpose in our lives. Squandering our gifts brings distress to our lives. As it turns out, it's not merely benign or too bad if we don't use the gifts and we've been given. We pay for it with our emotional and physical well-being. When we don't use our talents to cultivate meaningful work, we struggle. We feel disconnected, weighted down by feelings of emptiness, frustration, resentment, shame, disappointment, fear, and even grief. Most of us who are searching for spiritual connection spend too much time looking up at the sky and wondering why God lives so far away. God lives within us, not above us. God lives within us, not above us. Sharing our gifts and talents with the world is the most powerful source of connection with God. So I love that passage. I have it starred. I read it often because I just love that, God lives within us, right? He works within his people. And so a lot of times I think we're looking for God to do something to us. But actually we have to have the Spirit within us to be able to work on his behalf. So I love that passage. I read it often. So I was going to just ask people online, people in the room, what inspires you? What inspires you? What do you think meaningful work is to you? What inspires me is animals. I love animals. I love kids. I love anything that really can bring just a smile to my face. And that's usually working with the kids ministry. I'm usually during this time with the kids ministry with 1st through 5th grade. Love working with those kiddos. Also love working with animals, have animals. Like to support the local shelters. But what inspires you? Anything? What brings meaning to you? Yes, Charlie.
I think what you're saying is certainly true for me is interaction thing where it's a group activity toward a common goal, if you will.
Yeah.
I mean, with pets, it's really that. It's
Yeah.
an interaction with children, it's really that.
Yeah.
The goals change all over the place, but it's
Right.
it's always the community,
Mm-hmm.
be it between people or between people and animals. It's the same thing. What gives us meaning is really that jointness of task.
Yes, I totally agree. And it's helping other people, right? Or helping animals. Yeah, it's that satisfaction and contentment that you've made somebody's life a little bit better, you know, or you've made an animal's life a little bit better. That's meaningful to me. Also, we're starting a new missions in the kids ministry, which is adopt a grandparent, which I think is so amazing and kind of fits into what's on a list that inspires me. Is I thought that was such a fantastic idea. There's so many people that are isolated, you know, in nursing homes, or just they're at home and they can't leave because they're high risk and can't even go out, you know, to the grocery store, right? And we have this adopt a grandparent, which is awesome for the kids to get involved. So that was really inspiring to me, and I think that's going to be really meaningful to the people that receive those cards and stuff from the kids. Anything else? Anything else? Anything come in? Yeah, Charlie.
I'm going to do a step back here.
Yeah.
One of the things that bothered me about your name card of "I'm so busy," right?
Oh yeah.
That the problem I got into in my work environment is people frequently put that up, and it stops that interaction that we were just talking about. They put it up, and the door, you feel that the door is immediately closed.
Yes.
You cannot approach, you cannot interact, you cannot be part of the "I'm so busy" person.
Right.
And sometimes I view it as they are defending themselves so that they don't take part.
Right.
And I can never tell whether someone's truly busy or not. But what I see is the door being closed to the conversation.
Yes. That's exactly right. And I do it without even knowing that I do it. But when I thought about it and started to have more awareness about it, that's exactly what I was doing is I'm Jess and I'm busy and don't bother me, you know, and that definitely shut down this tool here about, went the wrong way. This tool about connection. I totally have missed a lot of opportunities with connection because I'm so busy, right? So that's something that I absolutely have to fix and need to stop saying that. But it became almost a habit for me. And almost like an expectation that people expected me because of my role in the organization to say that. Like, I certainly can't go around and say I'm so bored, right? So there's this expectation that you're the director of this department. I have provider communications. I have different areas, strategy, implementation. And so there's this expectation that I'm supposed to say, I'm so busy, right? This organization's keeping me super busy. But to your point, Charlie, what I did was I missed the connection part. And so conversations I probably could have had as a leader in the organization, I missed because, frankly, they didn't think I wanted to listen to them. So that's a lesson I learned for myself.
You gotta let go of the supposed to.
Yes, that's right. That was a good one. I told you at the beginning, I struggle with all of these. That's probably why I've read this book 5 times. I feel like I'm not a good learner or something because I keep falling back into these. Anything else? Yeah, great.
You know, I did stop saying I'm so busy at work like a year or 2 ago.
Oh, you did?
So be prepared for a lot of quizzical looks. You know, I say, I'm good, and they're really like, even they would prompt me, say, oh, I bet you're super busy. I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah.
You would get weird looks, so make
Be
sure you're
ready.
prepared to come back.
Brace.
Thank you, so. Sarah Woodbury did say sort of the inspiring part, seeing change, making an impact. So
Yes.
passing that along.
Yes. Thank you, Sarah. Absolutely. Did you have your hand up? No. Okay. I thought. All right. So let me go. So anyway, this is me. Did I do this one? 7, 8. I read. Okay. I think we're good. All right. So there's some handouts and there's handouts online. But if you're interested in the Gifts of Imperfection, like reading the actual book, if you haven't read it or you want to read it again, I did provide a guide for you to use. Also, there were some videos I wanted to show, but because of broadcasting rights, I didn't think that was going to be a good idea. So there's some YouTube videos that I'd really like you to check out, along with Brené's TED Talk on the power of vulnerability. It's 20 minutes. And the Call to Courage on Netflix is 90 minutes. And then Brené has a fabulous website that has all of this information about the Gifts of Imperfection. She also has a webinar series. It's a 3-part webinar series where she takes questions from folks and goes through them. So they're really awesome. And also, if you like this type of material, you like, Brené Brown, you like the different books that I showed, let me know, drop me an email, going back. If you've read any of these books and you're interested in, maybe having a book club or having more discussion time on some of these topics, I'd love to hear from you. My email is jessdelo@gmail.com, or you can reach out to the church and they can pass the message on to me. So before I close, though, I wanted to close in prayer. But before we do that, I wanted to find out if anybody has anything else to add, anything from the online chat or in the room. This is tough stuff. This is not easy stuff. And like you said, I think you said 11 years from that prior job to where you're at now, it takes a lot of work to get through some of this stuff. Anything else? Yes, Charlie.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
When you're given tasks, do you tend to work a task from beginning to end, or my experience was I always had half a dozen, and the half dozen worked for me because you would hit barriers in one, and it would let me set it aside and work on the other one.
Yeah.
Where this back piece of my mind was still involved, but not discreetly.
Right.
And I enjoyed that chaos.
Right.
Of the half dozen. So the texture of your job is what I'm looking for.
It's extremely dynamic. So I could have 12 meetings in a day on 12 different subjects related to the healthcare industry. So Blue Cross Blue Shield companies were involved in so much in the community, along with just everything going on in healthcare. So I could open my day up with skilled nursing facility, then go into COVID-19 impacts, then go into bundled payment, then I could go into surgical quality improvement. I mean, it could be the whole gamut. And I think I do have a lot of challenges with different things, with different projects, and you do stop and go, and stop and go. But you have to have the tenacity to get through it because a lot of this stuff costs a lot of money. So there's deadlines and things that we have to work through. But yeah, it's very dynamic. And I usually have, I'm juggling 12 things at a time. Plus, that's just my own work. Then I have all my staff's work that I have to help with them, support them, and then the people I report to. So it gets really, but I like the chaos myself. That's just how I grew up in the health insurance industry, is just with a lot of things in the air, and like chaos is probably the perfect word. Dynamic is probably the better way to say it. Yeah, but thanks for that question, Charlie. Anything else? Okay. All right, so let's pray together. Dear Lord, wholehearted living is about me engaging in my life from a place of worthiness. It's about me cultivating the courage, compassion, and the connection to wake up in the morning and think, no matter what gets done and how much is left undone, I am enough. It's going to bed at night thinking, yes, I am imperfect and vulnerable, and sometimes I'm afraid. But that doesn't change the truth that I'm also brave and worthy of love and belonging. For all my imperfections and the strength to let them become my blessings, I give thanks. Amen. All right, so thank you guys so much for your time and attendance. If you like these topics, I probably could have spent 6 weeks going over the Gifts of Imperfection. I saw other churches have done that, but it afforded me like 30 minutes, 35 minutes. So this is great, and if you like this stuff, let me know. Thanks so much. Have a great Sunday. See you at service. Thanks, Charlie. Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it. All right. Uh-oh. All right. Oh my gosh. gosh. Thanks, Charlie. Thanks so much for coming. Ooh. Have you read all of these books too?
No,